What up? Hey,
Hi.
hey, hey! So, let's just, kind of take stock today. And let's see, Gen
Taking stock?
Xers. Yeah, taking stock.
Like
Not the stock
inventory. We're
market.
taking
Not
stock.
the stock market. Let's take stock
No.
of Gen Xers. Where are we in our life? I mean, we come in this generation where we very much feel like we're in the sandwich of our elders and taking care of youngsters or nieces or nephews, where we're kind of the bunch that just takes it all on. And I
Yeah.
really think that in essence, like, where are we in our health and wealth? I mean, quite often for a lot of Gen Xers, that comes last.
Oh
Where
yeah.
where are we in our relationships, whether that be, romantic, family, whatever? Where are you in your relationships? And financially, are you going, what the
Yeah.
or and spiritually, like, where are you at? Like, I'm not talking religion here. I'm just talking about giving your shit to something. Like, you need to release your energy. So I think if
hmm
we talked about those four key areas, that would give you like a well-rounded idea. Ooh, look at my hair. It's like a
hmm
little thing. I'm not used to I am
We
totally not
we
used to wearing
we had
these.
some technical difficulties before we started things today, and there
Yeah,
might
my
have been a
mic.
few colorful words that were said that I couldn't hear, but I could see the because she couldn't get things to work, so she had to move some electrical things around. Okay, what were the four things that you said? Let me write those down.
Health, wealth, or health,
Okay.
wellness, relationships, financial, and spiritual. So,
Health, wealth. What was the second one?
relationships.
Thank you.
Yep, yep.
We do a pre-show, but we just suck at it, and I don't write stuff down.
No, I really like it to be real. I really hope that people feel our heart and our authenticity, because we don't script. We
No.
really just let it flow, because I
Yep.
think that is where your truth is when you allow yourself to flow. So we're
hmm
modeling what we do as, as what we feel is needed
hmm
in
Yeah.
society and relationships and just the world right now. Just just being comfortable in your own skin and just kind of, you know, trying, and if something fails, it fail. You know what I mean? Fail forward. I had a
Yeah.
whole
Like
convert.
what we do on this podcast. We fell forward. Have you looked at some of the early ones? Oh my god.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, they're brutal. And even when we were doing them, I was thinking to myself, I'm gonna look back at these someday and go, "Wow, that's rough."
But
hmm
the thing is like, when you look at our videos, this is kind of just a sidebar. Like, you know, we're human just like you, and we teach to keep trying. Be a kid in the candy store. Make
Yep.
your heart happy. This makes our heart happy.
Excuse
Um,
me.
you're fine. My allergies are bad too. So
Oh man, I just took something. Yep.
yeah. So, I mean, so let's take stock. I think quite often, and what I've been hearing from people is they're kind of in this identity trauma. They're in our own little Gen X kind of bubble of what that looks like. We
Uh
still
huh.
we still are very much in control, because we were very much brought up that way, not to show how we're actually feeling. But when we go
Right.
home at night, that's when it shows up. That angst,
Mm,
that
Right.
worry. I have to be perfect It's all signs of trauma, my friends. We all have trauma,
Mhm.
so let's accept
Yeah. Yeah,
that.
we all do. We all have trauma and we all have anxiety.
Yeah.
And as Gen Xers, and Gen Xers that are listening to this will be able to relate very, very clearly. If you had an emotional issue or something that you needed to deal with, you went and played football with your friends, you went and rode your bike. Yes, I said rode your bike. No
Yeah.
helmet, no
Yep.
nothing. Just go ride your bike,
Right.
around the streets.
Right.
And you didn't talk to
No.
somebody.
No.
Nobody didn't share any of
No.
that stuff. This ain't
Well,
no TV show. This is real Gen X.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so with all of that baggage, I that we have a bag of shit that we carry
Hmm.
around. Let's just be real.
Yep, we do. I tell
So,
clients that all the time.
yeah. So with relationships, I would say the majority, I'm just speaking my truth of my experience and people I've coached. I would say 9 out of 10 are divorced. And I think that a lot of that has to do with how we're been brought up. Um our cultural biases from that, meaning what we learned was acceptable and what the roles were. I was very much brought up that, a man's the provider, but I was also taught to be very independent. Now, if you want your mind to be like in a washing machine with two polar
Hmm.
opposites of what you're supposed to be, that's me. That was my life.
Hmm.
Yeah, this isn't ladylike. Suck it up. Don't be
Hmm.
weak. You know what I mean? It was. What do you
Right.
do?
Yeah, because you had like all brothers, didn't you?
I did. I did.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So, but they very much were like, this isn't ladylike. It was this obtuse thing of what is ladylike. I don't know still today what is ladylike and what is not. I just do me. Like,
You are genuine. It is. It is one of the things about you that is absolutely, yes. You are genuine.
yes, yes. I just do my
Hmm.
thing. But as far as relationships, I mean, do we spend enough time cultivating our relationships? Quite often, we just expect them to be there and not put in
Yes.
the work of a
Hmm.
relationship.
Right.
Relationships require vulnerability, um, a safe space, and quite often, I feel, in just my own personal experience and what I have seen, is that we write people off, um, if they don't
Hmm.
fall suit in where our mindset is at that point in time. And we don't take into account that, everybody's on their journey. Just because
Hmm.
somebody's not in alignment over here doesn't mean when we get over here, they're not going to be in alignment. So that doesn't mean you have to
Hmm.
be besties, you know. Um, but I'm just saying relationship as a broad term. We all tend to, and I say that loosely, all, um, really, we don't allow ourselves to be our true selves because I think emotionally we had to be very guarded, and we're very guarded in our relationships that we have now. Like we don't
Yes,
want
and
to,
as you get older,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
you have less friends. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine what you and I would have been like on Facebook in 1989.
Right.
That'd have been really, really weird. We'd have had 7,000 friends.
Yeah, it would not
But
have been
now, as
good.
you get past, as you get past 40, not that you are. I mean, maybe barely, but you start to get a handful. You want that half dozen friends,
Right.
and then you want to see if they're the people that are going to help you when you need to move or answer the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Those are genuine friends. And
I,
you said something about cultivating the relationships and cultivating the and growing those.
correct.
I try and tell my clients to give people a soft landing
Right.
and also try and be as neutral as you can be when you're listening to them. because more often than not, we tend to think that people are coming at us,
Correct.
and they're just not. They're just not. It's just how you're perceiving it. So,
Yeah. I mean, like with my friends, just in conversation, the people that's in my core circle, they know when I need to release. I'm like, I just need to get this out. And they don't anchor to it. They don't get upset. Having just those words like, I need to release or I need to vent, that doesn't mean that you shit on that person just to shit
Right.
on that person. That just means you just need a venting buddy. I used that after my car accident. I had a friend, a cry buddy. When I just needed to release, I'm like, are you good? And they're like, yeah. And I go, okay, it's going to take me 20 minutes just to release all this. And, they could have been doing dishes and whatever in the background, but I just needed that energy from another person, that they wouldn't get anchored to it emotionally on their end, because this wasn't projection, this was release. So I really want to really press upon projection versus release. Most people think that they're the same thing. They are not. It's what your intentionality is on your conversation, and that's being aware of, their values, your values, having boundaries. Like if I had a friend that, they were sexually abused, and for instance, I was sexually abused, I wouldn't pick that person as my vent person about my sexual abuse. Like,
right. Then it's going to become a pissing contest. Yeah.
Right. That's
an
a
emotional
very
pissing contest. Even worse.
Yeah, because quite often when I see this a lot, and this was very much in my family too, they want to vent, but they vent to people that are in the same situation. So then it just becomes a pile. Oh shit. It's just one up, and there's no healing in that. There's no, it's not cathartic at all. At all. So I think with relationships, like some key things, like for each section that we're going into, I think one thing you can do is like just take stock of your relationships and, just label them as, acquaintances. We go to gatherings together, we BS, that's it. I have, someday friends where we just hang out for the holidays or special occasions, birthdays. And then you have your rock core, the salt of the earth, your inner circle. Like you could call anytime and they're going to be there.
Yep.
Delineate those friends, because quite often we try to put, a round thing into a square hole. It just doesn't fit. It just doesn't.
We're putting too much energy into relationships that are just better left fray. And then
Correct.
we're not putting the energy into relationships that we should be.
Correct.
I was excuse me.
You're fine.
Explaining to a client today about the term familiarity breeds contempt. It doesn't just do that in marriages. It does that in friendships as well.
Correct.
If you're not nurturing the friendship,
right,
then you're breeding contempt. So
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So, and I think, to go on, we have relationships, and speaking of trauma, I think there was I read this on Yahoo Financial. They said that 74% of people that they identified as having tendencies of being in a financial trauma, meaning that you have angst, you have worry, it's something that just doesn't go away, and it just kind of builds up and you have a response to it. That's pretty much what a trauma is. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think financially, especially as Gen Xers, we have certain biases, mindsets of money. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And money doesn't grow on trees. People that have money are greedy, they're whatever. There's a whole bunch of limiting beliefs. Those are just the two most common ones I hear.
Yeah.
Or you can't have money because you're religious. I heard that one a lot when I was younger.
What?
But yeah.
No, I've never heard that one.
Yeah, I guess you have to be religious and poor. I don't know. But with financial trauma, it's identifying where the source of that angst, that worry is coming from. We are very much, as Gen Xers, the sandwich generation. We have our parents that are still alive. We have responsibilities, with family or kids. And quite often, a lot of people look at Gen Xers to fix stuff because we don't show our emotions and we handle it and we don't complain about it. We do in a comical, cynical way, but we don't set boundaries, if that makes sense.
No, we get shit done.
Yeah.
Is what it is. That's just the plain and simple truth of it, is that we get it done. So yeah, I understand why they look to us to solve things.
Which goes into the forgotten generation, because people don't get up in arms like with Z or millennial or, you know what I mean? The baby boomers. We just put our nose to the grinding stone and we just go. We just go. So, I mean, like, financial trauma, it's just being in front of and having awareness of what is causing you discontent. A lot of Gen Xers, we avoid, we distract, just like you talked about at the beginning, where, we would just get on our bikes when we were younger. If something was happening in the house, we would just get the heck out of the house. We would avoid, we would whatever. That was very much ingrained in our behavior now.
Yes.
So with finances, the only way those, and I don't use only a lot, the only way those get better is if you start dating them, like you are present with them, you have knowledge of what's going on. It's not
Stop
like
avoiding.
Yes.
Stop avoiding. Yes. Pay attention to your finances. Help put them to work for you. Pardon me. Sorry, the allergies are killing both of us.
Yeah, we
right
both
now.
have allergies.
Sorry.
So we apologize
Oh my
for
God.
that.
Yeah. Commander Hack and Spew over here. Oh my God.
I know.
Anyway, you have to pay attention to your finances and have them working for you. Even if you don't have a lot, even if you can only put away $50 a week, $40 a week or something like that, that's better than nothing. Keep going forward. If you put $5 away every day, you'll have $1,835 at the end of the year.
Correct. And the thing is understand where your beliefs come from. There's a reason why you're in the situation you're at. It is really, what did you hear when you were a child? What were your thoughts when you were a child? Really just kind of take inventory of that and ask yourself, is that always true? Is that always true?
It's very traumatizing. It's very traumatizing. You said you wouldn't bring it up.
Because if you don't have knowledge or awareness of what's going on in your nugget, it's not going to change. You have to have awareness of your nugget. Nugget knowledge.
Nugget knowledge. We need a graphic to go across.
Nugget knowledge.
There you go. Now it's time for Nugget Knowledge.
I know.
Brought to you by.
I know. So, I mean, you're probably seeing the theme of being reflective in this with relationships, with your finances. Awareness is key to transformation or change, or however you want to term it. For anything to move forward, you have to be aware of what doesn't work. It's that whole adage that I always say: act, assess, and readjust, and rinse and repeat. Like, are you leveraging your failures? Meaning, are you learning lessons? Are you shitting all over yourself? Meaning that I should have done this, I could have done this, or I'm so ashamed of this. That's what I mean by shitting on yourself. Okay. Yeah.
We over here on the West Coast, we say you're shoulding all over yourself.
Yeah.
And we also say in the rooms, we say shoulds and shoulds are not what is.
Yep. Same principle, different term.
Yep.
Same principle.
Different term.
Yes. So I mean, all of these things, when we get wrapped up in our relationships, when we get wrapped up in our finances, we energetically deplete ourselves, and and it can affect. You don't want to work out. You don't want to eat right. You want the comfort food. You want to be lazy, and that might be an activating word. And I'm not trying to make it an active. I'm just saying when you veg out. So, I mean, health and wellness is just movement. Like, how do you start your day? I think quite often, and I see this with a lot of my friends and people I know, they just accept, I'm getting old, and so I'm not going to work out. I'm not going to do this. You know what I mean? And you're laughing because you see it all the time. But the thing is if you accept that that's your destiny, I mean, you can be young in your mind. You can still be active in your mind. I can't run anymore because of my accident, but I still go do laps at the pool. I still go and work out. I still lift weights, which I'm impressed that I can do because I never thought I would be,
Right.
It takes some ingenuity and creativity, but that's my point. Work in your circumstances of what's going on, like adjust. Like, I can't use my left arm, but like with working out, if I'm doing free weights, like if I'm doing God, I can't even think right now, like just like a press. There's like just a dumbbell press. I put a band on this arm. Let me get in there. On this arm, this is my bad arm. And it will work. Science has proven that it works the muscles in this arm, even though it doesn't have weight. So I do the workout. I'm working this arm. I can feel it in this arm because I'm imagining the muscles moving in my left arm. I'm just inviting everybody, y'all just be creative. Like, be creative.
Yeah, that is creative. That's what you're doing there, and that's really, really good. And the word for today also is participation, which you've got to participate in your finances. You've got to participate in what to do with your relationships. You got to participate in your health. It is too easy to do the comfort food, and be lazy or veg out or whatever. It is far too easy, and we feel entitled to it, especially after we work as hard as we do, and we think we're doing something great for ourselves, and we chill out and do a whole bunch of nothing when we should be doing dishes or writing a letter to grandma or something else that has nothing to do with sitting on the couch and watching hockey. Not that I ever do that. That was not self-reflection at all.
I mean, there's a thing with it is, let me start over again. It's okay to do those things. We're talking about when you do those things, when you know that you have other things to do and it puts you in angst. That's what we're talking about, because that's affecting your mental state. It's affecting how you show up in relationships, how you show up in your finances, how you show up in your health and wellness. And I think a pivotal thing to that is like, where are you at with your spirituality? This is not religion, my friends. This is just releasing something to something greater than yourself.
Yes.
I don't care if it's a pillow, a doorknob. I don't care. Everybody I coach,
You took my doorknob. Yep.
Yeah. I'm like, release it to something. I say universe. Sometimes I say God. Don't anchor to the word. Anchor to the principle of what I'm saying. Spirituality is just being attuned to the rest of what is going outside of you energetically.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever.
I have a good friend.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
I was going to say, I have a good friend that works in the driving industry, drives a big truck, and he moves houses. So he's on the road a lot. Mm-hmm. And he calls it windshield therapy.
Right.
Because he releases things to the windshield.
Right.
And talks to the windshield sometimes as he's going down the road. And, he's asked me, how much talking to yourself, where does the crazy start? And I said, I think I'd have to hear what you're saying and how much. But I don't think that it's bad, because sometimes we say things out loud to ourselves.
Right.
And it sounds different than in our heads.
Correct.
Weird, but it does. It works.
Sometimes that's just the reboot that you need to shut off that toxic record player of all the limiting beliefs from your past. I mean, there's been times where I get into that record player, and no matter how far along you are on your journey of healing, you have that record player. It's like totally ingrained into your system, into your software.
Yep.
But now I know to command myself, like, stop. I release this, stop. Like, I have to physically, energetically incorporate all of my five senses. Like, I visualize it leaving my body and whatever. And a lot of people will say this is freaking woo-woo, but just do it once. Just do it once. Do you want to hold and fester all of that? Because it's just like when you ferment food. Sometimes that gas has to come out. I mean, it's just going to come out, and you don't know how it's going to come out. You don't know how stinky it's going to be. You don't know what the going on.
That was the metaphor you chose. Okay, I like that. That's good.
That's good.
Excuse me.
People are like, what is fermenting?
Yeah. But you are right in what you said, as in, like, participation. You need to participate in this and release to whatever or whoever. And you said something about woo-woo. And there was a time when I did think that. I will admit that, sure.
It was a short time ago. Because some things I said, you're like, that sounds woo-woo. And I'm like, no, dude, you need to try it.
That's a little woo-woo. And you know what? It still might be on the slight woo-woo scale. But the thing is that it works.
Right.
And I didn't think that it would. I didn't. But, it does. Taking the time to just release that out and, give it to the universe. Or, again, journaling. This is the release that we've been doing for centuries.
Right.
Is journaling. So.
Right. It's just allowing because when you don't release it, it gets trapped in your nervous system, and you can almost create a PTSD kind of response because something activates it and you have a response, even though you're safe, because you're not releasing the energy. It's just a recurrent trauma. And you don't have to be hit by a truck to have a trauma. You can have micro traumas. If it's making you feel angst in your body and it's wearing you down, it's trauma, my friends. If you go into your workplace and you're getting sexually harassed every day, it's trauma. You know what I mean?
Yes. I don't have that problem, but how are we doing on time? Because I got to get going.
Oh, we're at 29 minutes.
Yay. That's about the right time.
Yeah. So everybody, this was just just kind of raw talking about, taking stock of yourself and see where you are in your life, and just really taking a look at your health, wellness, your relationship, your financial, and your spiritual. Because you kind of need cornerstones to get you down the side rails of life.
I like that, actually. All right. I can see somebody, skating it too. That's awesome.
I know. So like, subscribe, do all that fun jazz, and we enjoy you showing support, and we love you all, and we will see you next week.
Sounds great. We'll see you next week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.